So, if you've ever posted a YouTube short video and watched it sit there getting absolutely 0 views, or you've had that video that just keeps dying at the same number every single time, no matter what you do, I want you to know that it's not random, and it's not because your content is bad, but the reason this happens is because you're stuck in a view jail, and every single one of them has a specific reason it's happening and a specific way to get out of it. And I know that sounds almost too simple, but this is genuinely something that trips up the majority of people who try to build faceless shorts channels, including people who already are making really good content and just can't figure out why it's not going anywhere. I've been posting YouTube shorts for a while now, and my portfolio is sitting at over $30,000 a month in pure profit. And in that time, I've dealt with every single view jail that exists on YouTube shorts. 0 views, 10K, 30K, and I've actually helped my students break out of all of them too. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and what you actually need to do to fix it. Now, let's get into it. So before I actually break down each specific jail, I want to make sure you actually understand what's going on when you do upload a video, because, once you get this, it makes everything else click. When you do post a short, YouTube doesn't just blast it out to everyone at once. You see, what they actually do is show it to a small test batch of people first. You could say usually somewhere in the hundreds to even a few thousand, and they watch that group really closely to see how they respond. Did they swipe away in the first 2 seconds, or did they stay? Did they watch all the way through? Did they rewatch it, comment on it, share it? And if that first batch responds well, then YouTube moves the video to a bigger batch, then a bigger one after that, then bigger again. And you can kind of think of it as, let's say, levels that your video climbs through one at a time. The moment a level reacts badly, the push stops and the video stalls out at that number. And this is the exact reason view jails exist at such specific numbers, because 10K, 30K, those are roughly where the batch sizes sit in the testing process. So your video passed one level and then just failed at the next one. Now, okay, here's the part that most people don't understand, and I'd argue it's actually probably the most important thing in this whole video. What YouTube is actually reading is not just the raw number, it's the trend of how your metrics are changing as the video gets pushed to bigger and colder audiences. So, like, for example, let's say that your video starts with a really strong swipe rate because the first batch is your warm niche audience, which, just to summarize, is people who already like this type of content and are naturally inclined to watch it. But then, as YouTube pushes it wider to people who have no idea who you are and no context for your content, well, that swipe rate starts dropping. Even if the average number on your dashboard still looks decent, YouTube saw that declining trend as the audience got colder and it pulled back the push. This is why 2 videos can have the same average swipe rate and one goes viral and the other dies, because one of them held that rate as it got tested and the others just simply didn't. And one more thing before I get into the specific jails, YouTube doesn't just test a video once and move on from it. It retests videos constantly. A video that's been sitting flat at, let's say, 500 views for months can randomly get picked up again and pushed to a new batch, especially if you've uploaded stronger videos since then that gave YouTube better data on who your audience is. This is why you should never delete old videos, because every single one of them is still active in the system and still has potential to go viral. Okay, so the first jail, and probably the most frustrating one, is 0 views. And the most important thing I want to say upfront about this one is that it's almost never a content problem. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen people beating themselves up, like reworking their scripts, changing their hooks, doing literally a complete overhaul on their editing, and the problem was never any of those, but rather the account itself. Because you see, if YouTube doesn't trust the account, then it's not pushing anything out regardless of how good the actual video is. And just to make it easier, the way to think about this is that YouTube is constantly under attack from bot farms and spam accounts trying to game the algorithm. And so they have a quarantine zone basically for any account they can't verify as a real human being. And if your account looks suspicious to them for any reason whatsoever, your videos just don't get pushed. I'm not kidding, you can literally upload the best short ever made and it goes nowhere because the account is the problem, not the video. So what makes an account look suspicious? Well, a few things. The most common one is creating a brand new account and immediately starting to post, because a real human being who just made a YouTube account would spend more time on the platform first, watching videos, maybe leaving comments, subscribing to some channels, scrolling on shorts, not just spawning in and uploading 5 videos in a row with 0 watch history on the account. The fix for this is really simple. You just warm up the account before you start posting. Literally just spend 3 or 4 days actually using YouTube like a normal human being, where you scroll through the shorts tab in your niche. Like some videos, leave real comments, subscribe to a few channels maybe, and just generally signal to the algorithm that a real human is using this account. And ideally, you want to be doing this on an older Gmail address rather than a completely fresh one, because an aged Gmail that already has some history on it is going to be seen as a lot more trustworthy from the start. Oh, and while you're in there, go to the settings, go to the channel, and just check your feature eligibility. Make sure that all of those boxes are checked and enabled because, well, if that last one isn't unlocked, it can actually sometimes limit how much YouTube is willing to push your content. Okay, now, the other thing that triggers zero view jail that most people don't even think about is posting and immediately closing the app. I know, it's kind of weird, right? YouTube actually rewards accounts that use the platform, not ones that just post content and disappear. So after you do upload something, just, stay on the app for a little bit. Keep engaging, keep scrolling. I always say, don't just post and ghost. Kind of like my ex did. And if you've already been in zero view jail for a while now, here's what to do. Private all the videos that have been stuck at 0. You don't really want them sitting there being tested repeatedly and failing because that's just giving YouTube more negative data on your account. And then take 3 to 7 days of really active app usage before you come back with new content. Give the account time to rebuild that trust score before you push anything new out. Oh, and during this time, it's actually a good idea. You could be warming up multiple accounts too, by the way. The mistakes people make here are re-uploading stuff immediately without fixing the actual account first, creating a completely new channel and then doing the exact same behavior on it and wondering, I wonder why it's also stuck. And warming it up for like 5 minutes and thinking that's enough. I'm telling you, it needs to be real usage over multiple days, not token activity. Alright, so if you've gotten out of the zero view jail and your videos are getting pushed, but they keep dying somewhere in that, 10 to 15K range, you see that's a different problem. And of course, it has a different solution. At this level, your account trust is fine. YouTube is pushing the content out and the first batch is responding okay, but not well enough to justify pushing it to the next level. And the reason is almost always one of two things. Either your hook isn't landing in the first 2 to 3 seconds, or there's a dead section somewhere in the middle of the video that's killing your retention before the payoff. Or actually, honestly, it could be that the idea itself just has a low ceiling. And that last point that I just mentioned is actually really important, and I think people just don't want to hear it, but great editing on a weak idea is almost always going to cap out eventually. And honestly, it's just because the idea didn't have enough inherent appeal to pull people through the whole video, even with everything else done well. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is pull up the retention graph on the video that's stuck and just find the exact second where the biggest drop happens, because that second is your problem. Not the topic, not the editing in general, just that specific moment. If the drop is in like the first 2 or 3 seconds, the visual hook isn't bold enough and you need to rethink how the video opens. What the first frame looks like, what the first line says, whether it creates a real question in the viewer's mind, or, just kind of introduces the topic. If the drop is in the middle of the video, then there's dead space there, a section where nothing new is happening, where you're restating something you already said, where the pacing slows down for no reason. And the fix is to just cut it out, ruthlessly. Short form is unforgiving, and anything that isn't pushing the story forward is actively hurting you. And if the retention looks actually pretty solid, but the video just still isn't going anywhere, then you're probably dealing with an idea problem, where the concept itself just didn't have enough pull to make people feel like they needed to watch all the way through. And no amount of editing will fix that. Like, trust me. It's better to recognize it early and then move on to a stronger idea than to just keep tweaking the same video that was always going to have a low ceiling. Now, before I do explain the 30K view jail, if you're dealing with any of this and you'd just rather have someone in your corner helping you figure out exactly what's wrong with your specific channel, I do run a one-on-one mentorship program for exactly this. I worked with Chris, who came in with 0 experience and got his channel monetized in just under 2 months. Or even Mason, who's in school full-time and started this completely on the side and is now making more than his teachers every single month. You get the full shorts framework and direct one-on-one access to me, so we're actually working on your specific channel together throughout the whole thing, not just pointing you to a module and hoping for the best. So if you want results like these, the link to apply is in the description. Now back to the video. Okay, so the 30K view jail is what I get asked about the most, and also the one that's most misunderstood. Because when people are stuck here, everything on the surface can look fine. The swipe rate seems okay, the retention seems decent, and they genuinely can't figure out what the problem is. But here's what's actually happening. Your video worked on a warm niche audience. Yeah, remember how I mentioned that earlier? People who already know your content style. People who are already interested in this type of video. People who were kind of primed to like it, but when YouTube started pushing it wider to cold audiences who literally have no context for your channel and no reason to be particularly interested, those people swiped. And the thing that kills people here is looking at the average swipe rate number on their dashboard and thinking it looks fine because the average is hiding the trend. Like, just imagine your video starts with, let's say, a 90% swipe rate with your warm initial audience, and then it just drops to 50% as YouTube pushes it to colder audiences. The average on your dashboard might show something like, well, 70%, which looks completely reasonable, but YouTube didn't see 70%. YouTube saw the trend go from 90 down to 50, and it pulled back the push because the direction of that trend was going the wrong way. So, what you actually want to look at is the swipe rate graph over time, not the single average number. And what you want to see is that graph either staying stable or trending upward as the video gets pushed to bigger and colder audiences. Because that's the signal YouTube is actually reading when it decides whether to keep pushing or to stop. Now, the reason that this is happening is almost always that your hook was written for people who are already warm to your content. It assumes context that cold viewers just simply don't have. So the fix here is to rewrite your hook specifically for people who have never seen your channel and have no idea what you do, and ask yourself every single time. If someone who has never heard of me and has no idea this video is coming sees this in their feed, is the first 2 seconds enough to make them stop? Now, another thing to look at while you're here is your retention ratio. That's your average view duration divided by the length of the video, and you want that number to be above 100%, which means people are rewatching. If it's below 100%, it means viewers are dropping off before the video even ends, and that's a red flag for YouTube that the content isn't holding people's attention all the way through. Oh yeah, and one thing on video length that I think is underrated, just aim for 30 seconds or more on your videos where you can, because there's evidence that advertisers spend more on this length range, which actually gives YouTube more financial incentive to push your content in the first place. It is a small thing, I will admit, but it does add up. And another mistake I always see people making in 30K view jail are obsessing over comments and like counts. Like, those are downstream results of a good video, not causes of going viral. So chasing them directly isn't going to fix anything. And another thing is taking a posting break while waiting for the stuck video to move, which is one of the worst things you can do. Because you want to keep giving YouTube fresh data on your channel. I know, as cliche as it sounds, consistency is key. Okay, so whether you're in 0 view jail, 10K jail, or 30K jail, there's actually really one underlying signal that connects all of it. And once you understand it, it starts to make everything else a lot clearer. Your swipe rate and your retention both need to hold or improve as YouTube pushes your video to wider and colder audiences, right? It can't just look good in the first 24 hours when your warm audience is watching, not just look good on the dashboard average. I'm talking like actually hold or get better as the audience gets bigger and less familiar with your content. Because when both of those metrics hold strong on cold audiences, YouTube has basically no reason to stop pushing. The data is telling them that this video works on people who don't know the channel, which is the exact signal they need to keep going. And a declining swipe rate as the push widens, even if the average still looks okay, is essentially the death sentence for the video, regardless of how good anything else looks. I'm sorry. The channels that understand this are the ones, though, that approach every video with this question: will this hold up for someone who has never even heard of me? And the ones that don't are the ones that keep wondering why videos that performed well in the first few hours end up stalling out. However, this is the thing I really want to leave you with before we actually wrap this up. Short forms view jails are not a punishment, and it's not YouTube being random or unfair. It's actually YouTube giving you really specific data about exactly where your content is falling short and for exactly what type of audience. And if you can just learn how to read that data properly, it becomes one of the most useful feedback loops you'll ever have access to. 0 views tells you that your account needs to build trust before anything else matters. 10K to 15K tells you that your hook or even your idea isn't strong enough to earn the next level. And 30K tells you that your content is working for just your warm audience, but you haven't cracked cold audiences yet, which is the key to actually scaling. And guys, once you know which jail you're in and why you're there, I'm telling you, getting out of it is just a matter of fixing the thing that's causing the problem at that specific level. All right, so that's everything. The 3 view jails, why each one happens, and exactly what you need to do to get out of each one. And look, you can take all of this and go apply it yourself right now, and if your content is solid and you implement these fixes properly, you're going to see a difference. But if you want someone to sit down and look at your specific channel with you and tell you exactly where the problem is and exactly what to change, that's what my mentorship program is for. I've helped people like Pierrick triple his views and revenue in the first 9 days working with me, and Mason make over 24 grand in the last 3 months from just one channel. So if you want results just like these, click the link in the description and fill out the short application to see if you're the right fit. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.